So, you decide you want to play Corrin in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and you have no idea where to start. Well, lucky for you, I'm Drago and I'm here to show you how to play Corrin in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Let's begin. To start, let's look at a very important aspect of Corrin's character, the neutral. Generally in neutral, you will not be throwing out as many moves as any other sword characters such as Ike, Chrom, or Lucina. You'll be mostly punishing your opponent for any turns of them whipping a neutral option, fishing for a combo, or just in case of anything else, they go for something stupid. So, bait and punish, you'll mostly move around and you'll keep away from them, looking for an opening at all times. If they just start throwing out moves, then they're getting impatient and you're doing it wrong. Just punish them for it, and your most used moves, and most preferred moves for using a neutral, the neutral air, forward air, down tilt, up tilt, the landing hit of up air, forward tilt, and the occasional grab into forward throw or down throw. In any situation when you realize that the opponent's not going into the air or they're not really throwing out any type of aerials, and instead they're going for ground moves most of the time, such as grabs, you can punish them using dash attack, or again, you could just do a normal grab at the down throw and get them in the air. What you generally want to do in neutral is force your opponent into a bad situation where you can actually get the advantage, instead of getting a string, or you can actually pop them into the air, and in that case they'll actually do a panic option. When they do a panic option, you want to react to that and actually force them either off the stage or into a jungle situation. Anything just to give damage, or anything just to give you the stage control. These are some of the most important aspects of Corrin, and they will be the most helpful to actually learn the character and get better. The one thing that you don't want to do in neutral is technically use any of the specials on Corrin. For instance, in Smash 4, the most used moves, or the move that most of the community expected of Corrin to use a lot, was mostly side special or Dragon Punch. Most of the time because top players or anyone who is using Corrin would use that move a lot, specifically in the matchup of Olimar. Generally now, you don't want to use side special at all in neutral, and it's more or less of a punish option, or it's better in any option other than just neutral. So just keep that in mind, please. Some more info on the moves that you'll be using in neutral. Generally, for the aerials, you'll want to use them when you're landing. Doing rising air, rising fair, or rising up air doesn't really open up anything that Corrin can follow up from. Doing landing up air, landing air, or even landing fair can lead into some decent amount of damage, or a big amount of damage depending on who you're playing against, and whether they're doing a panic option or not. These generally are used mostly for neutral, punishing, and just all around. These are good moves to be used every once in a while. Some moves it's best not to stall, such as up air, since it does relatively kill on a good percentage. If you don't stall it, it can mostly kill around, let's say Yimlink, at around 90 to 110%. Maybe more depending on how you stall it. On heavyweights and super heavies, it can kill about 110 or 120 and above. It's very useful, you just need to be smart about what you're going to use it, when you're going to use it, and how you're going to use it. And then a move that I don't really expect to see be thrown out, let's suppose you're going up against an opponent who's just throwing out the same move over and over again and you have no idea how to space it, using forward air, nair, or up air. That move would be back air. Using back air in neutral is sometimes a good idea if you know the opponent wants to approach from the air, due to the fact that back air is just a complete disjointed move. It has enough range to keep the opponent away from you, and it will block them out of your sight and keep them out of distance. You'll basically just zone them out with one move, and you can actually go ahead and send them into disadvantage because they overcommitted to something. Back air in neutral is definitely more or less something that's useful. Doing damage with Corrin and their moves. Generally, you'll actually like to do all the same aerials that you were doing in neutral. Landing in air, landing up air, and landing forward air. For these, you'll generally just want to go ahead and combo them, such as landing fair into fair itself, and then from that you can actually continue with fair strings, which is just you doing the same move over and over again. Or landing up air to landing up air strings. Depending on where your opponent is launched, or how they're launched, landing there can either give you 1. Up tilt, up air, or even forward air. During these, you'll actually want to go ahead and follow them up with either up tilt into up air into back air, or up air to continue another juggle, or forward air into itself, which in turns can lead to another nair if you drop the combo. Speaking of which, if you do drop any type of fair string, and they're going below you, you can go ahead and just do nair and most likely will get hit by it, and pick back up into the air. You can continue comboing them with another fair string, or you can just finish it off with an up air, or you could read them for doing an air dodge option if they try, or if it's an air dodge option like Sheik's, which is string 2, you can go ahead and back air them, or F smash them depending on where they air dodge to. Some obscure combos with forward air and up air would be, sometimes if there's a platform nearby and they go ahead and land to the platform during a combo from Corrin, they're allowed to actually go ahead and follow up with a grab. This is mostly because you'll be landing on the platform right next to them. If the opponent will still be next to Corrin during 2 fairs, then more or less Corrin can actually go ahead and do 2 fairs, hit them with a down tilt or forward tilt, do either a dash grab or just a standing grab, and it will always work. This only works at around low percent, don't expect this to work at higher percents. Fair percent's way too high. At that point, when you're at higher percents, you'll generally want to keep them off stage. So higher to mid percents, hit them, and combo them off stage so that way they actually get launched to the blast zone with bad DI, or if they know how to DI it correctly, then they'll most likely just get off stage, have to recover, and go on an intricate streak. That will be left up to you and your punish options, which I'll go over later. Another thing I would like to add about our combos is, most of the time when I said that you could actually go ahead and re-pick up or restart a combo via doing a nair or doing another aerial later on, or by delaying it, you'll actually be able to go ahead and re-combo them after something like they break out the combo using something similar to Almar's Whistle, or Sheik, or Wolf's Frame 2 air dodge. At that point, you can actually go ahead and delay it so that we can react to it, and then you can punish them by either grabbing, going into a down tilt into another combo string, or if they are dumb enough to do an air dodge like Wolf or Sheik, you can follow their air dodge in terms of where they go, and you can follow them up with a punish option that will most likely either give you stage control or kill them. You have 2 options for those, but more or less people will try to escape them until you're done. You could also bait people into trying to press a button because you accidentally dropped the combo and didn't try to do a follow-up. If you don't do a follow-up, when you drop the combo, most likely they're going to try and do a smash attack and do a hard punish. So if it's something like Gen, who's going to do up smash, get ready to activate Corrin's counter and get him back into the air in disadvantage. You'll be able to keep juggling him and won't be able to touch around back. Let's start with Corrin's punish options. Since Corrin is a character that is really good at punishing the opponents, he punishes almost every character based off what they do. So what do you do if the opponent whiffs? It depends on where they are on the stage, but generally, the best punish options would be neutral special or Dragon Fang shots, both the shots and the bites, depending on where. Side special Dragon Lunge, you can either do Dragon Lunge kick if they're at high enough percent, but otherwise you'll want to delay the pin or the stab into the ground slightly later than normal. This is so that way they can actually pop up into the air, so that way you don't actually have to pin them into the ground. This straight up kills at around 80% near ledge, and around 100 to 120 with good DI or well DI mid stage. It definitely is very dependent though. Of course, all the smash attacks are able to punish their opponent as well, depending on where they're coming from. If the opponent's trying to jump from the ledge, you can go ahead and just angle up smash up and they will take a severe amount of damage, or even lose their stock. You can actually go ahead and cover rolls, and cover people trying to roll into a shield option, or if they're just rolling and you're already at the ledge, you can go ahead and smash in the opposite direction so that way it always connects. Most likely everyone's roll won't be able to get them out of range of tipper forward smash. Another option for when they actually try to cross you up with something, let's say Fox's dash attack, or any dash attack for that matter. If they try to cross you up, you can actually do down smash, or if they're just trying to get in front of you or do a neutral get up, you can go ahead and time down smash's tipper so that way it kills them, hits them off stage, or even just do so with the Yata, which is the normal sword that she wields. For punishing the opponent in the air, you can more or less do Corrin's back air, or you can do Corrin's up air if they're high enough into the air. So let's say she were to double jump or jump ledge and then double jump. If you can follow up, if you can read their double jump, you can more or less kill them with an up air at the top if they're a high enough percent. Sheik's light, so they die really fast. What you want to do with Corrin's punish options are more or less, you want to actually make sure that they're not charged or they're delayed so that way they're too obvious and give the opponent enough time to either go around it or to punish you before you punish them. This is more or less something that has happened between both me and any other person who's trying to learn to play Corrin or any other under-level player. Don't charge your attacks, just go for it, and make sure that you use it so that way it's in a safe place so that way if you do get punished, it's minimal. A bit of a warning for these three moves: Dragon Feint Shot, Forward Smash, and Dragon Lunge. These three moves are high in priority, meaning that 1. Most smash attacks and fully charged moves or projectiles such as Samus's fully charged Charge Shot or a fully charged Aura Sphere from Lucario will actually beat them. Moves such as Dragon Feint Shot, at least the bite, Forward Smash, and Lunge all have the downside of being connected to the model of Corrin. This means if Corrin is attacking with these three moves on shield, then Corrin will be given an excessive amount of N-lag comparison to how it is standard, while the defending opponent who was holding shield is given significantly less shield stun, meaning that they are allowed to get a free punish if they're fast enough or in range. This is mostly doable by the entirety of the cast, so it's something that you don't really want to do. So just be wary about what happens when you use these moves on shield. If you get too close, you'll most likely take a hard damaging hit that'll either take the stock or cause you to lose a set. And that's the last thing anyone wants. Let's start talking about Corrin's advanced state. Corrin's advanced state is more or less similar to all the other Swords characters, but she does have a benefit in terms of juggles. Her most used or most common advanced state is mostly when you're juggling the opponent to the point where they cannot come down. At this point, you never want to let the opponent land, and you want to make sure that if they think that they're about to land, you pick them back up with using an air, and they can never touch the ground yet again. Or you could just follow them and just make sure that they get pushed over towards the ledge or off stage to the point where they can't recover. This is the best idea for you to use with Corrin's advanced state, and it's definitely one of the best things ever. There's also Corrin's stage control, being one of the longer range sword characters, underlying sword characters, with the attacks that come from a more or less obscure angle that is covered in a straight line. You can actually go ahead and actually zone out your entire opponents by running around the stage and zoning them out using Pen. Side special, Pen, or Dragon Lunge, depending on how it's said or how anyone calls it, it's more or less something that people can actually use mid-air. It doesn't have that much lag as long as you don't pin it around, so you can go ahead and keep running away if it does connect. This is most likely seen around being used for against heavyweights, and against characters that are obviously going to jump and go for more obscure or obvious area. You can still go ahead and keep them out of distance and make sure that you keep your stage control by running away from them or zoning them out just with your normals. They are disjoints, so they can go ahead and outrange most of the cast. Another thing to be worried about whenever you're going into advanced states would be if you're trying to get them into a setup where you can edgeguard them. For Corrin's edgeguarding tools, you have the ability to use back air, side special aka pin while in the air, and Dragon Feint Shot both the bite and the shot depending on where the opponent is. You can use the shot when they're in the blast zone and using an obvious recovery option to actually go ahead and launch them back into the blast zone. At 120 or even 110 if they're close enough, they will in fact be destroyed, and that will be their stock, meaning that you have a stock lead and you had advantage state. So now you can just go ahead and run around the stage and make sure they can't touch you. Another thing about the advantage state is, not only when you get the opponent off stage are you allowed to go ahead and edge guard them, or keep the advantage state by using your aerials, and your specials in some cases. You can go ahead and air dodge and keep them out, and hold the advantage state by using your smash attacks. On certain recoveries, and most recoveries, without a hitbox or that come in a linear way, such as Fox's side B, Falco's side B, or Olimar if they're trying to not grab ledge due to the fact that they can be 2-framed via side special, via pin to the ledge. And the fact that Dare, down tilt, and forward smash all have the ability to go ahead and 2-frame them. You can also edge guard them if it's a harder recovery that you don't have an aerial that's fast enough. You can go ahead and just use Nair and make sure that you hold your jump so that way they get wall spiked and you can still jump and recover to grab ledge. Or you could delay your Nair so that way you can just do a jumping Nair, not grab ledge, and instead they get wall spiked and you can still recover. Most likely they are done for and that's their stock because they've been gimped. In other circumstances, you can actually send them into a non-techable situation with Nair. This has happened in multiple cases and it does catch tether grabs as well, so just keep that in mind. So, back to what I was saying about linear recoveries that come out from the side. With those, you can actually go ahead and edge guard them using forward smash. Forward smash at the ledge will actually hit off stage in most circumstances. You can actually go ahead and angle it so that way it does in fact 2-frame. That's what I meant by it actually does in fact 2-frame. You just need to angle it so that way you are able to, and make sure that you're close enough to the ledge so that way the entire hitbox is actually off stage. Otherwise you'll just be a smash to the ground. And last time I checked, no one wants a living Marth or a living Lucina. One of Corrin's most prominent things when you have advantage state, ledge trapping. Like I said earlier, you can also go ahead and ledge trap using Corrin's aerials, specials, and in some circumstances you can go ahead and enforce an option, such as if they do neutral get up, you just charge forward smash so that way it can actually just stop them from doing a neutral get up, regardless of their invincibility. You can also lead that into a kill situation if you aim it above them, or if you aim it towards the ledge. What do I mean by above? If you aim them above, then they will most likely go sent higher than normal forward smash. Normal forward smash would normally send to the side, which at normal percents, it would be most likely to go for that. But a higher percent from a lightweight character, and you can see them SCI in the chainsaw, when you charge your forward smash, you definitely want to aim it upward. So that way they don't have the ability to fall out and go ahead and punish you for doing so. Alright, let's start this out with one little thing. Of course, since Corrin is a sword character and a fire emblem character, the disadvantage state is one of the worst things about this game, but it's not impossible to deal with. Necessarily when you're sent to the disadvantage, you're most likely getting comboed or you're lacking percent. When you're lacking percent, you most likely don't want to overcommit to anything to go for a big combo. By a big combo, I mean if you've ever seen me use a big combo, with one of my sword clips, or if you've seen me from any of my videos I can spotlight on Elite, you definitely don't want to overcommit. It can lead into you getting punished and losing the entire stock, or you lose the game of sets, depending on where, how, sense, etc. Let's say you're down a stock and you're up against a snake. At that point you want to play as patiently as possible, avoid every single option that they're going for, make sure you time your attack so that way it knocks the grenades off your hands without blowing it up, and you should be fine. Another thing I should probably warn you about like as a disadvantage is when you get knocked off stage at higher percents, or any percent really, considering that Corrin's recovery is decent. It's good for what it is on the character. It could be better, but it's what we have. So if we have to deal with it, we have to deal with it. The best thing I could say when you ever go into use recovery, when you're at advantage, make sure that you delay it or you do it early, depending on what that character is going for. Let's say you're going up against a top player. Let's say 6 UFs. Let's say you're going up against a top player, 6 WX, and he's a Joker player. let's say he goes Joker and he has Arsene. He's going to drop down beneath the ledge and make sure that he counters your up B. Getting countered by up B will launch you into the blast zone due to the fact that up B's knockback got buffed, and it does a lot of damage on the last hit. Most likely you don't have your jump either, so the best thing that you can do with disadvantage is react to what the opponent's doing. If you know that they're going to try and edgeguard you using a counter that will necessarily kill you, or if they're using a move that has too big of a hitbox, or a move that, if traded, will knock you into fall-off states, or lock you into a disadvantage state to the point where you cannot recover. Against Joker, you want to recover early, so you want to make sure that you up your, or at least use back air so that way you can get to the ledge faster, and bait him so that way when you think you're going to use up B, you still have your jump and you can actually footstool him if he's in range, or just jump the way you're up B, you can go ahead and just grab ledge. Just like if he's going to get wall spiked or he's going to tech and you have the stage back to yourself, you can reclaim it, figure out what's going on. Now, if you ever go in against a Palutena, and yes, this does happen a lot, Palutena has the ability to nair Corrin's up B and trade with it so that way you get gimped. It will stop up B, it will trade with up B. It's been able to do this in Smash 4. But there's another thing that you can do against moves like that. If you're going up against a normal Joker without Arsene, then you can go ahead and use up B for when they use gun special, or in Palutena's case when they use nair. By this, I mean you should mash up B if you know that they're going for gun down, or they're going for nair. So that way, when you get knocked out of the move, you can go ahead and just do it again as soon as possible. This means, no, you do not want to hold up and just rapidly hit the B button. You want to automatically input and do the full input for up special. Otherwise, you'll accidentally go into neutral special and you will SD. This happened to me on a countless amount of times. I don't want the same thing happening to you, so beware. Otherwise, handling disadvantage state is just being more patient, not overcommitting, making sure that you're going for light, simple, and safer damage, and making sure that you are unpunchable, and just stay out of the opponent's range. If you're going against zoners such as Samus, Richter, or let's say you're going against someone like it can't be Olimar, or even I can't be Lucario, Greninja, or Peachy spamming Teasels. At this point, you want to look for an opening between the moves and make sure that you have enough shield. Parries don't really help you that much in this circumstance, but against other moves, you can actually go ahead and get a multi-parry because you parried one move, and that one move has multiple hits. You can go ahead and dodge all of them and make sure that you're safe. Generally, if you're in disadvantage, you still want to play as patient as possible, and if you know that the opponent is going to try and feed off a lot of pressure, please, I know this will happen, and make sure you can keep your composure so that way you don't do a panic action. So the last thing you want to do is be 120%, you can come back against a Ganondorf or Palutena, and you screw up by accidentally air dodging into an explosive flame, or Gloria. You already know what I mean. Don't lose your composure. Otherwise, you should be able to handle this match without a problem. Comebacks are also relatively easier to do when you have full composure. So if you are down by 2 stocks, hey, it's not over yet. You still got the ability to make a comeback. If I can do it, you can do it too. So far throughout all of this video, I've been talking about how you should recover from Corrin and how having your jump is probably one of the most important and most beneficial things to this character in just this term. There's one reason for this. Corrin is a Fire Emblem character. Of course you gotta hold your jump. It's not as simple as being Palutena. Even Palutena's need to use her jump, but Corrin will most likely use her jump around 30%, which, by the way, that's a lie, around 80% of the time. So, based off that, you should really be smart about how you're going to use your recovery options. For Corrin's recovery options, you have multiple ways of actually enhancing it, or making it so that way it's actually better than already how it is, so that way you're just not jumping in up B. So, as a little standpoint and an add-on, when recovering horizontally, you can actually go ahead and use back air. Back air has a bit of a push effect, or at least a windbox effect for Corrin, not the opponents, where you can actually push yourself forward if you're holding away from the direction that back air is going. This means that 1, you can actually push yourself back to the stage by using back air a couple times while you're off stage. If you're turned around by an attack and you're launched off stage, you can use pin so that way you can push yourself away in the opposite direction. Then you can use back air and just revert yourself. This technique I've learned from watching and playing with AF Formelia, who is a Corrin from NDVA. It is also known as the current best Corrin in the world. Another thing that I would also like to go ahead and tell other people about is the fact that if you're on a stage with a large enough wall, or any wall that's vertical for the most parts, you can also go ahead and extend your recovery by using pin jump. This is done by pinning the wall and jumping out of pin. If you jump out of pin, you will still have your double jump, and you'll be able to actually go ahead and either grab ledge, or if you're high enough to, you can go ahead and get yourself a boost for up B. This means yes, you can get even stronger or higher distance to grab ledge. And it also helps for delaying your recovery. Another thing about it is, even though you can go against certain people who know about up B or about pin jump actually does in fact have invincibility on the startup of it. This means if you time the first few frames, and by the first few it means frame 2 to frame 7 of doing pin jump, you can go ahead and become completely invincible, meaning that you cannot be ganked by certain moves. It's very tricky to time, but if you see an opponent coming down like Sheik with Nair or back air, you can go ahead and time it so that way you can jump, evade their attack, and just recover. Go ahead and reverse the situation and make sure. A couple other things that you should know about using the recovery. Directional air dodge is not really that well of an instrument or a technique to be used lightly with Corrin's recovery. You generally want to use it when you're in range of the ledge by a substantial amount. You don't want to use the maximum height of air dodging. So air dodging is only useful when you're high enough in the air. So if you're above the stage, air dodge up, and you should have enough end lag to the point where it ends and you have the ability to actually move, that you should be able to either up B or jumping up B so that way you can grab ledge. Never use up B when you're below the ledge or next to the ledge. Sometimes you can overshoot or undershoot and you can actually go either onto the stage and not realize it and get punished, or you can go right next to the stage and miss ledge and just SD because you don't have a jump, or you're jumping up B, do not reach that far. On most stages, you cannot pin the wall so that way you can actually get a boosted from pin jump. This is most likely why I'm trying to say don't really rely on air dodge for recovery, and if you're going to get gimped by something like Joker's Guns, don't buffer an air dodge. Just mash up B so that way you get a higher distance, and make sure you maximize your drift. There's some other things about recovery that I'll be going over later on, but otherwise this is just a standpoint and just in general so that way you know what you can do and what you can actually keep yourself alive with. Otherwise, you'll have to get a bit more creative and strategically delay your recovery so that way you have the option of just grabbing ledge or getting above stage. If you know that someone's trying to go ahead and 2-frame you or attack you off stage, angle it so that way you go above the ledge and you just go ahead and hit them. Let's start by talking about Corrin's defensive side. Paralysis shield options. Generally, you'll want to react to whatever the opponent is doing to your shield, just so that way you could use these paralysis shield options. They include, more or less you'll be using this one a lot, neutral air, the one that you'll be using in case they do an unsafe move on shield that does not cross you up smash, and in case they do a move that always crosses you up or tries to cross you up, down smash, which more or less is probably going to kill them if they do something that's very laggy. So just be aware of how much lag they have and what you can do, because otherwise you might get punished for it. In terms of what you want to do out of shield, it will most likely be Nair, but against certain things such as Fox's dash attack, Wolf's dash attack, or Pika's dash attack, mostly just almost every dash attack besides the ones that are lagless, or the ones that have enough distance that they can't really be hit. You more or less want to do up smash or down smash depending on how far away they go. So if Pika were to do dash attack and they go straight through you, get ready to do a down smash, it most likely will tipper them. If Fox does it, just go for up smash. There is no down smashing Fox out of shield, there's just up smashing. And since he is light, it will most likely kill him very fast. He doesn't have as much pressure before in Smash 4, which makes it even more easier. This is why up smash and down smash off shield is more simple. Not everyone has safe shield pressure like in the previous games. Your out shield options are more or less based off what they do, how to react to it, so you also need to know, are they safe on shield, do I keep holding shield, or what? Generally against a character like Peach and Daisy, most likely they do Nair, just hold shield with angle downwards so that way you don't get down tilt and you can't take a combo from missing one hit. That is the only thing that you're allowed to DI. I've seen it happen, I know it happens, I don't let it happen to me because I'm aware that if I drop shield, I lose. So be aware of whatever shield pressure is going to attack you, be wary of what your opponent's going to do, and get ready to do the out shield option the moment they overcommit, or the moment they just straight up commit and they think they're safe. There are certain options that the opponent also has out shield that you should be worried about. In that case, you don't really test them, or you can test them with a move that has enough zoning power so that way they think that you're going for that move, and then you're already out of the range of the move that they went for out shield, such as the links and them doing a B. Against normal link, it's best that you don't try to even space one of your aerials on shield. Even though they can be safe if you space them, it's definitely not a good idea to do so. One of the one things that you should be doing is, one, if they're going to do up B out shield, which is normal link does, you should use pin. Pin at maximum heights, when delayed, will actually make it so that way smaller characters can't really grab you, and that you don't really get hard punished. The moment that you actually pin a shield, and you're at maximum heights, immediately do jump. There'll be an end lag longer than you, and by the time this up B starts, you'll be involved for frame 2 to frame 7 of the jump. This is what I said earlier when going over recovery. It will help you, and it should possibly work. If it doesn't work, you probably mistimed it, or they just timed the B so that way it was inescapable. Otherwise, you should be fine as long as you can actually time it correctly. So yes, sometimes doing pin on shield is good enough. If their out shield option is something that will kill you, it is very laggy. Otherwise, let the up smash, Nair, and down smash, mostly Nair, if they're going to attack your shield. If they're holding shield, go for a grab. Another thing I should know if the opponent is holding shield. If they are holding shield, and they are at 160% or even higher, on a stage where it's not an extremely tall blast zone, you can go for up throw if you grab them. Why? Up throw is Corrin's main kill throw. It kills around 160 or 150 depending on the weight class, and depending on the stage most certainly. The hardest stage for you to actually kill with up throw is probably Kalos League. Kalos League being extremely tall is almost impossible to kill at relatively 160 with up throw or any of her kill throws. So just be ready for how you actually want to use them. Corrin is more or less like a character who the kill throws can be mixed up if you catch someone off guard. So if you're on a stage like Town City, Smashville, or any stage in general, you can also go ahead and cross up and do a down throw immediately when they're a high enough percent, because most likely they'll be expecting a cross up throw, DI out, probably they'll die because they DI'd it incorrectly. So down throw is a good cross up that is something that you should not use every time. Just use it around once or twice a set. Use it unexpectedly, it should come in handy. Otherwise, go for up throw, it's the better throw. Now that we've gone over the general stuff that you're going to need to play Corrin, let's go over some tips and tricks that you'll need in order to get used to Corrin. Let's go over one trick really quickly. Shielding forward smash's charge. Now, if you already realize this, forward smash has a charge on the chainsaw of it. You should really know that unlike multi-hit jabs, like Inkling jab, if you hold shield, after 15 hits you are given a frame 1 roll or option out of the attack. Most likely a roll. Against Corrin's forward smash, that isn't a thing. Forward smash doesn't lock you into shield, so you will literally have no way of escaping it other than shield stun or dropping shield and taking the brute of it. This move will break shields if you try to angle it. So, note, if you're playing Corrin and you notice that your opponent is shielding a lot, you run up and F smash them. Just charge it and it will automatically shield poke. There's nothing that the opponent can do. There's nothing that will give them an actual chance to get them out of the attack besides actually, if they get shield poked, SCI does chainsaw upward, which is why I said you should angle it upward when I was talking about punishing it. This is because if they SEI out of it, they can actually go ahead and get lucky enough to jump out of it. This can be done with multiple characters and most likely every character. But it's harder to do with super heavies and big characters. So if it's against Pichu, make sure that you charge them up to kill percent and just let it fly. Another thing I'll bring up will be confirmed from getting Dragon Fang Shot. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say you cannot get confirmed from Dragon Fang Shot. You really can. This is due to the fact that Dragon Fang Shot got a buff along with its nerf. Its nerf was the universal patch or universal change going from Smash Bros. Ultimate that all stuns are ridiculously less, or they are significantly different in terms of stun duration from Smash Bros. Ultimate. But Dragon Fang Shot's stun was given an entire buff, as well as the bite being affected by this. There's a new base knockback growth increase. This means over time you will stun the opponent more based off how much percent they have. Meaning yes, at 7% you can go ahead and do uncharged shots into a delayed pin so that way you can figure out where they're going to go and then you can end them. Right then and right there. Some more things I should actually go ahead and tell you about would be any confirms from stun. If you were to do stun at the ledge and actually hit the opponent, sometimes the opponent can be a high enough percent that you can kill them with a tilt. I've done this twice so far in the game, and by twice, I think I've only done it with 2 moves. You can go ahead and kill them with 4 tilt, and since 4 tilt does kill 130, due to the fact that stun is locking them into place, you'll be at more or less a higher percentage, and they'll be launched farther. This means most of the cast will die from 4 tilt if they get stunned. On the obscure side, if you think that most of the time people will expect you to do something like down tilt, you can go ahead and mix them up by doing up tilt, and if they have bad DI, they'll most likely explode because they think, okay, he's just going to do down tilt, I'm going to go ahead and jump away from it so that I can't be comboed, and they'll accidentally DI up, or in the rare case, they will in fact die from up tilt. This has happened once, I wish I had footage to show you, but I forgot to save the replay. This did happen, however. It works on the top platforms of Battlefield, so make sure that you're high enough so that way it works. Another tip about Corrin is when you actually use their side special off stage. As I said earlier, it could actually 2 frames, so it's a perfect glitch trap or a perfect bait into letting the opponent try to recover. There is a certain point where if the opponent is too close to the stage, that you will actually go into the pinning animation and it will look like the pin them. Even though that they are off stage, do not cancel it without being wary of this little function. Honestly, I'm not even sure whether it's supposed to function like this, and I'm pretty sure it is not. It's the only thing that I probably want patched about the character. If you do actually use pin, and you do in fact cancel with it, sometimes the opponent will actually go ahead and fall off and grab ledge if they're at ledge, or if they're just off stage, there's a chance that they will actually just teleport back to stage in a tech situation. If they don't react to it and they just do a roll option, you can punish them right then and there. But you need to be alert of this. If you don't know about this, it can lead to you dropping a punish and they can instantly get a run back because now you just let them recover a kill percent. The last thing you want to do is let that happen. I'll go over some of Corrin's changes going from Smash Bros. Ultimate. The first one being forward air. Forward air reflects 2 of the starting frames from Smash Bros. Ultimate. Originally in Smash 4 it was frame 7 to frame 10, and now in Ultimate it's frame 9 to frame 10. Even though this doesn't do anything to how it's used and its combo ability and its ability to fall up, this does mean that you cannot do down tilt forward air into a forward air straight, due to the fact that there is no frame 7 or frame 8 to actually hit to keep them into the hitbox, or to continuously land forward air into itself. So that's what I meant by you cannot do down tilt with the forward air and why I did not mention that. It is, however, still useful to the point where you can still do forward air strings, just not from a single tilt since it's not a frame that you could actually hit. The other thing that I would notice about Corrin was, her counter actually gained more than enough frames to actually make it significant. Even though it gained only slightly more frames on activity it gained 10 more frames, meaning both inactivity on counter and activity on counter, meaning whether it gets triggered or not, it will have more than 60 frames of inline, meaning no, you cannot double counter a move. If you counter and it misses, you're most likely going to get punished. A character that you should not do this against is someone like Alma. Olimar has the ability to actually shield since his smash attacks are counted as projectiles. Make sure that if he's going to do a smash attack, he's not going to be able to shield it. So shield at start, so counter at startup, and make sure he actually gets hit. Don't counter at one layer hitbox, or layer frame of the hitbox, or it could end up badly. Another nerf, and probably the last two nerfs that I will be going over, because I would like to actually give you a bit of a surprise, is finally side special. Now of course, everyone would be saying that side special is not to be used in neutral. I already stated this earlier. It's because it was nerfed. Even though if it were the exact same, it would be entirely a pain in the butt to deal with, its nerfs are more or less Incipin kicks distance, which means if you roll your finger from B to A for Incipin, you cannot actually go ahead and go the same distance as you would with the late pin. It goes a shorter distance. They also changed it because of the game's mechanic that you cannot automatically buffer stepping frame 1 out of pin kick. Meaning yes, you need a time when you're allowed to move out of pin kick. The other change to it was also the FAF automatically stabbing the ground. Originally from day 1 of Ultimates, it was frame 15. In Smash 4, it was significantly less. This was a nerf. This means no, you do not get the option of doing pin on shield against your opponents and being able to immediately kick them in the face because they actually dropped shield. This wasn't something that could be done. Most of the time, most Corrins did not really go for this. We just did it because what are you supposed to do? Out of shield? Just shield drop? No one had a fast enough option. But in this game, you can almost always shield grab one of Corrin's moves, if we're in range. And by Corrin's moves, I mean any of the options Corrin has out of pin. Something that you can actually go ahead and pretend for this is by not using pin as much, or at least learning the timing for it so that way you can go ahead and learn the distance, the timing, and just get used to it over time. It's not really something that's particularly hard to adjust to, but it is something to look out for. And it's very important that you do adjust to this. This game is a debate. It has debated us for the last 7 months. Oh, I feel stupid. Another thing I would like to inform all of you of is Dare. Dare is a move that you should probably start using when you're stock up and the opponent has a decent or bad recovery or Dare had high enough percents. At certain percents or higher percents, Dare is an automatic kill first. You will not die first, but otherwise it's still important that you keep the stock up, because if someone has a good enough recovery, they will either be able to somehow extend their life so that they don't die first, or they can go ahead and actually jump and make sure that it doesn't happen and you die first. It's not a good idea if you use it to just go ahead and just dare on last stock. It's not like in Smash 4 where if you did dare at a certain height, you go ahead and just footstool them and you were alive. It's a bit more tricky now since everyone has a frame 3 squat jump. Another thing is, you should not use dare at a disadvantage. It does contend with certain moves but not very well, or consistent. This is because dare is not disjointed. So if you can, or if you have a predictive ability to, or if it's just a habit that you have, just replace it with a different habit like narrowing downward, or just waiting and air dodging down. There is no getting rid of a habit, it's just replacing a habit. Some more things I could say about Corrin are best said when experienced, so more or less, just go ahead and experience the character. This is all I got for you right now, but you should be fine with this information. Hopefully you do enjoy start playing Corrin, and hopefully you can see some light with the character. It won't be easy, it'll be time consuming, but it will be completely worth it in the end. Trust me on that.